Friends, this week we read the portion of Mishpatim, and this portion has many laws of the Torah. And what's a law that I like to talk about is something that's so central to Jewish life, yet unfortunately so many people don't appreciate how important it is and how vital it is to retain a Jewish identity and to retain a strong connection to your Judaism and to God. And that is, the verse says, "Lo tevashel gedi b'chalei v'imo." You may not cook a kid in its mother's milk. So a goat, you may not cook it, eat it, milk and meat. One of the main parts of kosher. And what's very interesting is, why did God want us to keep kosher? Why is it so important to keep kosher? Is it like so many think it's about health? I would say absolutely not. A kosher diet, as tasty as it is not necessarily the healthiest diet. Actually, most of the traditional foods that come out of Eastern Europe, even out of the Sephardic world, health was never a big part of the ingredients. It was fried and other types of things that were used that are delicious and fine, but it's not about health. Is it because in the desert they couldn't keep other types of meat? Pork would quickly become bacteria. It has nothing to do with health at all. So why do we keep kosher? Why is it so important? Especially in a world today where we travel on business and vacation and it's hard to get kosher. What's the difference what I eat? And even here, most of the stores I walk in the streets and I pass by or wherever I'm working are not kosher. So what's the big deal if I eat something not kosher? Why is kosher so central? And it actually is one of the mitzvahs, one of the commandments that doesn't even have a reason. The Torah never gave us a reason. But yet, it is so important and so much a part of who we are. Because Torah, kosher reminds us at every moment who I am as a Jew. That even in the most simplest thing as eating, which we share with everyone else in the universe that have to eat, we eat differently because we're Jewish. We address our soul and our lives in a different way just because we're Jewish and God chose us as His people and gave us the Torah. That is the reason. We don't need any other reason. To remember at all times that we have a specific mission. When the astronauts get onto the spaceship, they don't complain, I'd like a steak in this way or in that way. They take the food that they're given because in that atmosphere, in that environment, that's the only type of food they can eat. And that's the only type of food that will work with their system. And so too it is with a Jew. For a Jew has that special Jewish soul. There's only one type of food that works with our system. And though physically you may not feel any different whether you eat kosher or not kosher, but spiritually we are hurting the health of our soul. And hurting the health of our soul means hurting the health and the ability of us to have proper faith, to have the proper belief in God, to be sensitive to spiritual things, to be sensitive to godly things, to be sensitive to the finer things that are intangible. That's what kosher is all about. And it's interesting that the verse that the Torah tells us about kosher begins, Reishit bikureat mascha, that the first and choicest fruits of everything that you grow in Israel has to be given to God. Why does the first fruit have to be given to God? We have so many other tithings where we give percentages to God through giving it to the priests and to the Levites, to the poor. Why the first? Because the first is the emphasis that first and foremost we must remember that everything we have in this world, first comes God. First question is, what do we do with this for God? Does God appreciate and want us to interact with this thing? And so it is with food. Food is not just our existence, and then let's look at Judaism for what God wants us to do as a religious person. Food is about existence itself. And existence itself, first thing is God. How does God want us to be? And when you eat kosher, is when you start appreciating the power of kosher to unite the family, the power of kosher to unite the Jewish people, the power of kosher to help us fight intermarriage and assimilation, the power of kosher to allow us to grow spiritually and in the things that can't be seen physically, but they're so important, the intangibles that really are so important for what we need in our lives. So I want to challenge you, if you're keeping kosher, great, and keep on doing it in the fullest way. Make sure at home and everywhere you're doing kosher. But if you're not doing kosher, try to start somewhere. Take one food out of your diet that's not acceptable. In your home, start making your home or bringing in your home kosher food, not mixing milk and meat. Even if you're not eating kosher, don't mix milk and meat together. Start somewhere. every step you do is powerful and is empowering as well. So I want to wish you all Shabbat Shalom. God gave us kosher because He loves us and He wanted to give us the ability to grow in all ways, physical and spiritual, and feel more wholesome. May God bless you all. We love you all. Shabbat in Montreal this weekend is 4:42 p.m.